Welcome to the HMG Executive Leadership Spotlight. Here's our host, Hunter Muller.
Hello, and welcome to HMG's Global Leadership Institute Spotlight. I'm Hunter Muller, founder and CEO of HMG Strategy. I'm here with Puneet Bhasin. Puneet is the EVP and Chief Information Officer for Unum Corporation. Puneet, great to see you here today, and congratulations on being a 2023 HMG Global Leadership Institute recipient of the CIO of the Year.
Thank you so much, Hunter. It's a pleasure. It's always great to talk to you.
Puneet, we've been studying visionary leadership for some time, but in these highly innovative and highly disruptive times, more than ever, being a visionary leader and demonstrating visionary leadership is important. Talk to us about your leadership style and what's working for you now.
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that question around leadership style, Hunter. I've always believed that you need to adapt your leadership style to the company you work for, to the situation at hand, to the problem that you're trying to solve. And so, as you talk to others and read books or articles, people talk about visionary leadership, facilitative leadership, a coaching style, a democratic style, a commanding style, whatever it may be. What I fundamentally believed in is that you need to adapt your style, which really means it's, some combination of the various things I just talked about, but you adapt your style to what it is that you're trying to address, what is the problem that you're trying to solve. And so that's what I believed in, and that's what I try and do as much as possible.
Great insights. When you think about it, too, being a top executive leader like you are in our industry, working with the CEO and the board is critical. And there's a lot of lessons learned that you've developed over time. Talk to us about those.
Yeah, I want to say the most important, the most critical lesson I have learned is there has to be alignment. For the longest time, and it's gotten much, much better over the last several years. If you think about it, IT departments tended to were typically really insular. There was always this notion of, IT, the department, and the business, as if they were two different, separate things. So having alignment with the company's objectives, having alignment with the strategy, that is the most important thing. The second is, if you think about it, traditionally, historically, IT was always measured by, did you deliver your project on time? Did you come in on budget? And to me, that's table stakes. What's most important is, what is the value that you are generating? And the value could be a growth objective. It could be a productivity mandate. It could be a customer experience mandate. But it is not about just delivering the projects. It is about realizing the value from the initiatives. It is driving engagement. It's improving customer service, managing all the change associated with it, finding new avenues for your products, growing geographically. That's what's really important. So what I find, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the P&L leader, whether it's the board, you have to make sure that you have the fundamental table stakes in place. And once you have that, then you can focus all your effort on all the other things that I talked about. And that's what really builds the relationship between the technology or digital leader and the CEO and the board.
Well, it's interesting. Being both the CIO and CDO has different implications. What does it mean for you at Unum?
Well, first of all, I haven't figured out these titles. I couldn't tell you what a CIO does versus a CDO versus a CTO versus a CIDO or whatever else. But if I were asked to make a distinction, I think the distinction really is between a CIO and a CDO is, to what extent is the individual more externally focused? To what extent is the individual more focused on building experiences, driving growth through existing customers or new customers? To what extent is the individual focused on building platforms, building new products? And that, I think, is what distinguishes really a CIO from a CDO.
Puneet, in highly innovative times and disruptive times, where are you placing your bets for your investments? Where are you focusing in on, and where are you getting real value?
Yeah, I would say, look, I think everybody will talk about security and cloud and all those things, and perhaps even, analytics. But I would say that we are primarily focused in terms of our strategy, in terms of our innovation, in two areas. So one is analytics. And again, it's a cliche, everybody's talking about it. But when I say analytics, what I really mean is tools that are AI, artificial intelligence based, tools that are machine learning based, and now potentially generative AI that are embedded into any and every solution that we build. And that's what we are trying to do at Unum, right? So it's not about, having a great experience. It's not about building a accounting or an accounting system. It is, how do you automate decision making? How do you give the power of technology in the hands of the end user, whether the end user is an internal employee or it's an end customer? So that's one area we are very, very focused on and have had some tremendous success innovating in. The second is, given the industry that I work in, we are not necessarily always interacting with our customers through our tools. We may be interacting with them through a UI that's built and owned by somebody else. Not in every case, but in many cases. And so it's very important for us to build an ecosystem, to build a platform that allows multiple of our partners to connect together so that the services that we provide to the end customer are seamless, provide for a great experience, and we only have to build it once based on whatever technology and insurance standards that we want to conform to.
You've always had some worked on large scale companies and large scale organizations. What is it like building a high performing team, and what are some lessons learned that you would like to share with today's viewers?
So in terms of building high performing teams, I think several things are important. So first of all, you clearly have to hire the right talent, right? You have to align that talent with the company strategy and the objectives. You want to make sure everybody is rowing in the same direction. You have to give people challenging jobs where they can extend and stretch themselves. You have to have meaningful jobs where they can see the relationship between what they do and the value that they create. And then you have to give them a career path where they can continue to grow and excel. And if you do all of those things and you do them thoughtfully, to me, that's what builds a high performing team.
It's a big order, a big role that you have. When you think about all of your partners out there, how are you managing those relationships with you and your direct reports? Because your partners really do matter. We know the difference between a partner and a vendor.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. There's a big difference between a partner and a vendor. And I think it's about, do you have a transactional relationship with somebody, or do you have a strategic relationship? Is it a relationship that's based on pure economics, or is it a relationship that's based on mutual benefit, right? And these relationships have to be nurtured and they take time. But to me, it's about aligning the objectives. But having said that, every vendor, partner, whatever you want to call, they have to be managed, right? I think some people will engage into an arrangement with a partner or a vendor, and then they leave it all up to the vendor, right? If they fail, the vendor fails. If it's successful, the vendor is successful. And that's not how I think about it. I really think about that, whoever the entity is, the company is, we really own the success or failure of whatever engagement we may have with them. And again, it has to be to mutual benefit.
Puneet, I often say it's the best time ever to be in technology. What are you most excited about and passionate about today in your enterprise with your vision and your team?
I think, I work for a financial services company. In our insurance space, we are the largest provider of that type of insurance. And when you think about financial services in general, right, we don't have a physical asset, right? We we have, a piece of paper. That's our policy. That's what we sell. So our real differentiator is technology. So to me, what I'm most passionate about is how do we use our technology assets? How do we continue to grow those technology assets? How do we innovate around technology to provide the best products and the best services that we can to our customers? And there's a huge amount of opportunity out there to begin with. And then when you look at this constantly evolving technology landscape, and certainly today with the compute power that's out there, with everything around analytics and AI that we just talked about, I think the opportunity is huge, and that's what really excites me.
It's such a technical time, and it's so that everyone's talking about AI. How do you talk about it to senior level C-suite executives or the board?
It is a challenge because everybody, whether it's the CEO, the board, whoever it may be, everybody's read up on it. And look, the technology component of AI is not important, right? There's AI, there's deep learning, there's neural networks, there's regenerative learning. I mean, the terminology out there is endless. So I stay away from the terminology. What's more important is trying to communicate with whoever the audience may be as to what possibilities does AI open up? How will work change in the future? How will the composition of the workforce change in the future? What revenue opportunities do we have through AI? What productivity possibilities are there through AI? That's, to me, is more of the conversation and less about, the various components of AI.
Puneet, great being with you here today, and congratulations on being a 2023 HMG Strategy Global Leadership Institute CIO of the Year recipient.
Great. Thank you again, Hunter. And as I said in the beginning, it's been great knowing you. We have known each other for, almost 20 years. And it's always a pleasure and fun meeting you and talking to you.